Well, good morning everybody and welcome back to Sam's Doing Stuff. What am I doing today? Well, it's not about what I'm doing, it's about what I've already done, really. And lately, I've been thinking a lot about this firewood thing. You know, I'm a hobbyist right now, and what if I wanted to transition to doing this as a business? You know, if I wanted to up my production and sell more. I mean, it's definitely a good idea to make more money, of course, but it's really not all about money. You got to start first of why in the world are you doing this in the first place? You know, it's kind of crazy to make firewood. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of physical exercise, you know, but I enjoy the exercise and I'm just crazy enough to do it. My motivation for starting to do this was, well, first of all, the house we used to live in had a wood burning stove, so I needed firewood for that. And then also, my dad, who's getting up there in years, you know, I like to supply him with firewood and help him out. That's the number one reason, really, that I make firewood. I have one customer right now that I sell about 2 cords a year to, maybe a little bit more sometimes, depends on how much he burns. But I certainly could sell more. When we moved from our old house to here, instead of moving all of that firewood, I sold it, and it sold fast. So there's no doubt in my mind that whatever I make, I can sell. Now, while it might seem kind of backwards to be thinking about selling firewood first, well, when you're talking supply and demand, if there isn't a demand for the product, then it doesn't make any sense to make a supply. So because we have demand here in Northeast Ohio, and I know I could sell it, it makes sense to think about making more. So, what do I need to make more? Let's start by talking about these two things right here, a chainsaw and a log splitter. So, those are two absolute must-haves if you're going to start making firewood professionally. You should have a pro-level chainsaw. Now, you can have a prosumer version of this. You can buy, you know, a lesser chainsaw, but I really would recommend getting a pro-level chainsaw. You don't necessarily have to have a 500i, although it is great for making firewood. But you certainly would need something that's going to last a long time and it's going to stand up to the wear and tear of all the cuts you're going to be making. Now this splitter here, that's where things have to change. It's a great splitter, and for what I'm doing right now, it does fantastic. It's strong, it powers through everything, but it is slow. It is slow and it doesn't have a log lift. And let me tell you, and this is where I come back to what I said at the beginning of the video. This is stuff I already did. I worked an entire day doing firewood. I probably put 6 hours in if you count breaks. And the reason I only did 6 hours is because that's all my body could take. I was lifting 200-pound logs onto this thing and splitting them up, and I was done. So a pro-level splitter with a log lift, with faster split time would, I mean, it would be an absolute must. So I've got some options there. You know, there's Easton Made, there's Wolf Ridge. One thing about Wolf Ridge is we have a dealer nearby here in Northeast Ohio. So whether I went with who knows what brand, I would definitely have to up my splitter game. That's gonna cost roughly between $6,000 to $10,000. Now, $10,000 is a big chunk of change, but that's a pill I'm gonna have to swallow. If I wanna make a profitable firewood business, that little splitter ain't gonna do it. So, let's talk about the money I don't have to spend, okay? I've gotta deliver this firewood. I already own a truck, and I already own a dump trailer. The dump trailer was purchased because of other needs, so every dollar I can make with this dump trailer is definitely a plus. So now let's talk about the big elephant in the room. Supply of materials, because without logs, you cannot make firewood. So how do I get logs? Well, I've gone and cut down trees. Now, I'm not a free tree service. I definitely charge people to cut down trees, as I should. But that's a lot of work. And I'm not trying to start a tree service, I'm trying to start a firewood business. So I'll do it, but it's not a sustainable way to supply my firewood needs. So, next thing you can do is you can look on Facebook Marketplace or something like that, and usually there'll be somebody that has had a tree service cut down a tree and they've got logs laying there and they say free firewood, come and get it. Well, when they say free firewood, they usually mean free firewood. Sometimes they'll throw you a bone, but you're gonna have to go and do that work for free just to get those logs. So that's, if it's close enough, it is good enough wood, I might do that, but once again, that's not a sustainable source for firewood. A definite sustainable source for firewood is to have a logging company bring truckloads of logs and drop them off for you. Now, while that is the best way to get material, it also costs money. So I'm not quite at that level yet to where I can pay a logging company to bring material, but it's something I might have to consider down the road. So now I'd like to figure out, what am I making per hour doing things the way I'm doing it? Well, we already know it took me 6 hours in a day to create a cord of firewood, and I sell a cord of firewood for $300. But we also have to add in the amount of time it's taking me to go and get the material. So let's talk about these logs behind me. This is what I would consider to be an ideal situation. It was a land clearing job, and I went and helped with the land clearing, and in return, I got these logs, okay? Now, each load of logs took me 4 hours to get, and my trailer will hold probably 1.5 cords of firewood logs. But it also cost about $50 in fuel to go and get every trip. So let's just conservatively say I got a cord of wood for every trip. 4 hours for a cord of wood and 6 hours to split and stack that cord of wood comes to 10 hours. So at the very most, I'm only making $30 an hour. Now with the cost of wear and tear on my equipment and everything else that needs to be considered, that is also, even in an ideal situation, not a sustainable way to keep doing things. So what do I need to do moving forward? Well, maybe you're in this same situation and you'd like to go from being a hobbyist to growing it into a real business. Well, I need to keep doing what I'm doing because growing your business isn't a leap. It's more of a gradual transition. So I still need to get material, but the next step I need to take is I need to get in touch with a tree service. I'm going to try and find a local tree service around here that will dump their trash really here for free rather than having to take it and pay to dump it at a landfill. If I can find that situation, I think I'm ready to take the next step and increase my supply, increase my speed, maybe make enough money to buy that new splitter. So I really think this is the right choice. I think this is what I need to do. And I don't know if you're growing your firewood business or if you have a full-fledged firewood business. Let me know in the comments if you think I'm making the right choice. I'm crazy enough to keep wanting to make firewood, so I'm going to grow this business and onward and upward, all right? We'll see. Anyway, I appreciate you stopping by, and we'll see what I'm doing next time when I'm doing more stuff. See you then.